The major movie studios have often dabbled in family fare, as there will always be new generations of children coming in who they'll try to cater towards. And one studio that attempted to make a big push in the family arena was Warner Brothers. The idea of creating a division specifically for family movies started being discussed at WB in 1991, likely spawned by the sting of letting Home Alone go to 20th Century Fox and seeing that become a big hit for them. Fittingly, the first Warner Brothers family entertainment movie would also be a John Hughes production about a young blonde boy with a penchant for traps. Released in 1993, Dennis the Menace pulled in decent numbers at the box office and showed WB had the potential to compete with Disney in this space. They would then score an even bigger hit with Free Willy. Charming audiences of a story of a boy who befriends a killer whale, the movie had impressive staying power that summer and continued to sell well on home video. Next came an adaptation of The Secret Garden, which was extremely well received by critics and performed okay at the box office. Warner Brothers Family Entertainment seemed like it was off to a solid start by greenlighting audience-pleasing films like these. Unfortunately, this early success proved to be short-lived. Part of that had to do with the movies themselves, while the other reason was their treatment by Warner Brothers. Batman: Mask of the Phantasm was dumped into theaters with extremely little publicity by the studio and only gained an audience when it came out on video. WB picked up two Don Bluth movies, Thumbelina and A Troll in Central Park, for distribution, and both ended up doing little business. In the case of the latter, the studio had so little confidence in the movie they gave it only a minimal release. Meanwhile, Black Beauty and Little Giants did not excite audiences. Even though Richie Rich did not pull in big numbers, it was a massive success on home video. There was a time when a modestly budgeted film could make up for an underwhelming box office performance by doing well in the video market, as parents might choose to pick up a movie on VHS to entertain their children. That was another reason studios became more interested in producing family films in the 90s, as revenue from video sales could give certain movies a second life. One movie whose box office performance was seen as especially disappointing was A Little Princess. Alfonso Cuarón's first English-language movie, it received rave reviews from critics, which gave Warner Brothers and producer Mark Johnson a lot of confidence they had a hit on their hands. Although even before its release, there were questions of whether WB was treating it properly. Some felt it would have been more appropriate to release it around Christmas rather than in May, just before Casper and Pocahontas. Those people turned out to be right, as it attracted little attention from audiences. The studio even decided to give it another try in August, putting it back in 49 theaters to test the waters for potential re-release. But it did so poorly that they cancelled those plans. Johnson was particularly broken up by how Little Princess performed, while also criticizing Warner Brothers for their marketing choices. The good news is the movie would do a lot better on video and even scored a few Oscar nominations. Warner Brothers Family Entertainment did bounce back a bit with Free Willy 2, although the third movie flopped. Meanwhile, another animal-themed movie, The Amazing Panda Adventure, did poorly at the box office. Some choices made by WB were baffling. The dog movie Shiloh got good reviews and could have done decent business, but it only got a limited release. Most audiences only got a chance to see the film when it reached video store shelves. The animated movie Cats Don't Dance ended up in WB's lap after they acquired Turn Entertainment. Thus, they did not see it as a big priority for them and released it without much fanfare. Warner Brothers did pull out all the stops to promote Space Jam, which performed strongly at the box office and gave some confidence they could become a big player in animation. As a result, Quest for Camelot got a lot of corporate oversight from top executives and was assumed to be a big potential hit that would help them compete with Disney. It did not, although Brad Bird said it meant he was more or less left alone to make Iron Giant the way he wanted. Speaking of the Iron Giant, while it was initially marketed on the Family Entertainment label, the film itself did not include that logo. There's a reason for that. Bird argued with the heads of Warner Brothers for several months to not have Bugs Bunny open the movie, as he felt it was an ill fit and that the words Family Entertainment were a turn-off to general audiences who would perceive the movie as being only for children. WB eventually allowed Bird to make a custom logo without those words, not that it helped the movie at the box office. Although, as we now know, the ecstatic critical and audience reaction, along with frequent airings on Cartoon Network, helped to gain a bigger following over time, and the Iron Giant is now heavily promoted by Warner Brothers. My Dog Skip was another example of a movie that was initially advertised as a Warner Brothers Family Entertainment movie. However, once it reached theaters, the traditional WB logo was what greeted audiences instead. Thus, in North America, the animated flop The King and I became the last theatrical movie to fall under the Family Entertainment banner. Curiously, even though Jack Frost was produced and marketed for family audience, it was not placed under that label, although a few international VHS releases included the logo. A Dog of Flanders was similarly released as a regular Warner Brothers movie, and Pokémon the first movie was placed under the Kids WB name. That gives the impression the studio was phasing it out, but not exactly. Despite their mixed theatrical track record, Warner Brothers Family Entertainment did do very well in the direct-to-video market, primarily with movies based on the properties they own. Some notable releases include Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, and Wacko's Wish. The latter even started with this special logo, where Wacko appears next to Bugs Bunny, so it continued to be used on various Looney Tunes, DC Comics, and Tom and Jerry movies over the years. For a time, when Warner Brothers released one of their family films on VHS and DVD, they were placed under the Family Entertainment name. My copy of The Wizard of Oz has it, and the logo was also plastered on certain versions of The Goonies, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and The Incredible Mr. Limpet. The logo also appeared at the beginning of television shows produced by Warner Brothers Animation, starting with Animaniacs. Meanwhile, Warner Brothers in Germany kept it alive a little while longer on the feature side. The animated movie The Little Polar Bear and its sequel The Mysterious Island were released under the Family Entertainment label. It was also used on the animated German film Laura's Star. But why did the main Warner Brothers studio in Hollywood stop using it for their theatrical films? In addition to the underperformance of some of the movies, it's possible that higher-ups realized that Brad Bird had a point and the films were being perceived as being exclusively for children. And with some of the budgets, it was becoming even more necessary to court a general audience with their family movies. If they had continued to use the Family Entertainment name for their big releases, we might have seen the logo appear at the start of Cats and Dogs, Osmosis Jones, the Powerpuff Girls movie, Looney Tunes Back in Action, and the live-action Scooby-Doo movies. Maybe even the first few Harry Potter movies as well. But ultimately, I think Warner Brothers realized the label was not necessary. Eventually, their other departments also stopped using the Family Entertainment logo. The animated television shows phased it out, with most preferring to use Warner Brothers Animation instead. Tom and Jerry and Nutcracker Tale was the last direct-to-video film to open with a logo in 2007. And finally, the 2009 animated film Laura's Star and the Mysterious Dragon 9 was the last movie altogether to open with Bugs Bunny munching on his carrot next to the shield. Warner Brothers Family Entertainment began with promise and produced a few quality films, so I would not consider it a complete failure. The logo and fanfare also remain iconic to a certain generation, but it says something that most movie studios don't feel the need to separate their family films into alternate labels, as it's not really necessary. See you next time.